The Western Conference Finals are going to be incredible. The Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the best defenses we've seen over the last, I don't know how many years. And you have the Dallas Mavericks, the best team, complete team of the Luka Doncic era, with Kyrie Irving being normal and playing that veteran leadership role and is still one of the best players in this series. Minnesota has Anthony Edwards, who's like the next guy, the next real guy in the NBA in terms of being a star, being one of the next American great players in this league, and somebody who you could argue is the best player remaining in the playoffs. I still would say Luka Doncic is, but Anthony Edwards is probably at least second on that list. It's just a great series. Now, who's the biggest threat to win an NBA championship amongst these two teams? The knee-jerk reaction is to say Minnesota. And the reason we're talking about this is because, well, the Boston Celtics, in all likelihood, will get out of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Minnesota Timberwolves, why they're the biggest threat. And then we'll go into why the Mavericks could be the biggest threat. We'll play both sides here. You look up and down the roster. They have the components, really, of a team who can win a championship, because they have the rising young superstar, really, in Anthony Edwards, who's already been an all-star. Karl-Anthony Towns has settled into this number 2 role very nicely. He's made a believer out of a lot of people. Now, it can get a little scary because this is where it's like, okay, we all believe in Karl-Anthony Towns now. Is he going to mess us up now in the Western Conference Finals? But he should be given a lot of credit for settling into that role. And he actually profiles as someone who could have a good series and stretch this Dallas Mavericks defense. Rudy Gobert, he's going to have an interesting time dealing with the energy, 48 minutes of Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. There's been a lot of talk about who guards Luka Doncic. That's probably the one concern that you have for Minnesota more than anything else. Jaden McDaniels has the height and the reach. He does not have the size. And against Luka Doncic, that matters because he's somebody who will use size to his advantage, and rightfully so. Mike Conley is the vet who is just really solid, and you could tell they need him and they rely on him for not just his presence and leadership, but also his timely plays, whether it be a timely 3, whether it be something on the defensive end, a deflection, a steal. Mike Conley's been absolutely great for the Minnesota Timberwolves and meaningful. And let's shout out Naz Reid real quick, because 6th man of the year, one of the most impactful 6th man of the year type of guys that we've had because of what he was able to show in the defensive end as well, not just the offense, where he's a facsimile of what Karl-Anthony Towns is in terms of the stretch big shooting. That element could bully you on the inside, play inside out game. But defensively, what he was able to show on Nikola Jokic, that was different. And that was something that I don't think a lot of people projected. Can't believe he went undrafted. That's amazing to me. The Dallas Mavericks, the pick and roll situation is going to be very interesting, and how they sort of navigate what Rudy Gobert is going to do. It's not like Rudy Gobert in Utah, where he was only dropping all the time. Like, sometimes he may come up to the level, and Luka Doncic is probably gonna, he's going to try to beat him one-on-one in some of those cases. I think maybe that's something that Minnesota wants to live with, because what won Dallas last series against Oklahoma City was other guys got going. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic haven't even been awesome in the playoffs. Like, they've been good, and obviously they've had their moments, but Dallas supporting cast has really been one of the stories here. PJ Washington can't miss a 3 right now. Derrick Jones Jr. has had some amazing two-way games, and on the defensive end, he's going to be the guy that is probably tasked with Anthony Edwards. And this is a really complete Dallas Mavericks team. The Mavs could be getting Maxi Kleber back at some point, and that's going to be meaningful in stretching those bigs that Minnesota has on the defensive end. But also, when he's on the defensive end, he could help spell some minutes on the interior, because Derek Lively is a rookie. Daniel Gafford's never been here before. Maybe there's some foul trouble issues. You could slide in Maxi Kleber at the 5 for some minutes as well, if you need to. I'm sure Jason Kidd would prefer to run 2 bigs out there to compete with the size. Maxi Kleber is somebody who could be an interesting chess piece if he returns in this series. Not really sure what kind of series that Anthony Edwards is going to have. Derrick Jones Jr. is an interesting matchup, and then he's also been, struggling the last couple games with his shot. But, you believe in Anthony Edwards, and you think he's going to have a great series regardless. Karl-Anthony Towns might actually be in for a better series, because if he's hitting his 3s, and yes, he's going to be stretching those Maverick bigs, and that's going to be a problem. Kyrie Irving, I don't know what he's going to provide offensively in this series. That's somebody who they're probably going to guard with some success. They have more guys to throw at Kyrie Irving than Luka Doncic at this point, but Kyrie is still Kyrie. I just think he needs to be more assertive early on in games, try to get to his shot earlier, because I don't know if they can afford to not have him going. And it's the third quarter and Kyrie has 4 points and Dallas needs offense and Minnesota is really locking down defensively. They've been very good in second halves in the playoffs. And we saw that again, game 7 against the Denver Nuggets. This is something that Dallas can't afford to play with. And the big question is Luka Doncic and how the Mavericks sort of navigate that and how the Timberwolves sort of handle what Luka Doncic can bring. To me, he's the best player in the series. To me, this starts and ends with him. And if he's going to be the scary playoff Luka Doncic that we've seen at various points, and yeah, I think Dallas could pull off what would be betting-wise a minor upset here and win the series. I saw them priced at plus 150, plus 142. I saw Minnesota at like minus 160, minus 168, 180, I think at one point earlier this week. I kind of like Dallas. I think Dallas can really win this series. I think we're kind of sleeping on this team a little bit. Yeah, they had some good fortune with Oklahoma City missing open threes in the last series. At the same time, I think Luka Doncic could be in for a big series, one he did not have against the Oklahoma City Thunder outside of a couple games. So I probably lean Mavs here, and they could win it in 7 because I have no problem with them being on the road. Luka Doncic has had really big playoff games on the road. He actually averages more points per game on the road in the playoffs than he does at home. And we've seen what Kyrie Irving's done on the road in the playoffs historically. Minnesota, I think, has the best defense, has the best profile, and things of that nature. But I still have some questions about what are they going to do offensively down the stretch. So in terms of who's the biggest threat to win the NBA championship, even though I probably lean Dallas in this series, I would say Minnesota is more of a matchup problem for the Celtics, and I would pick them to beat Boston, regardless if Kristaps Porzingis is there or not. It's Dallas and Boston in the NBA Finals. I would take Boston if they have Kristaps Porzingis and he's healthy. I would take Dallas if they don't have Kristaps Porzingis. And part of me thinks that Dallas can beat them even if Kristaps Porzingis is there. That's all we have for today. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and do all those great things. Support the channel as well. I'll be back with more very soon. Thanks for watching.